In this recipe, we're using kind of a take on a cheesecake with a blueberry sauce. And yeah. So let's
Okay, we ready?
yes,
Yes.
we're ready.
Okay, so
Dessert time.
we've broken this up into sort of 3 sections. So we're doing our sauce, we're doing our filling, and we're doing our crust. So first for the sauce, yes, we're making a blueberry sauce. So I did this ahead of time because watching blueberries boil, I find it exciting. Not everyone finds it exciting. So I just boiled these with a little bit, like a tablespoon of maple syrup, and just a little bit of lemon juice. And it's pretty solid. And we use frozen blueberries for this, by the way. They're fantastic. Again, just as nutritious, and they work really well for desserts and sauces. And just let the heat, about a medium heat, sort of break them down, cook them down until they're really nice and soft. It takes about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, until it's pureed. You can blend it, and at that stage, it's going to be pretty thin. Blueberries are mostly water. So if you do want to thicken it up, because you don't want like a too thin of a liquid or a sauce, we can use something like cornstarch. Works really well. I find actually what I love the best for thickening is arrowroot powder, arrowroot starch, and it's a lot easier to find these days, and it's pretty easy. It's about 1 to 1, so you can use about a tablespoon of arrowroot and a little bit of cold water, 1 tablespoon, and we call this making a slurry. Similar for like cornstarch, if you're using cornstarch. What I like this is that cornstarch sometimes it has an aftertaste to it. Yeah. This doesn't have an aftertaste. This as well, if you're working with any acidic foods, it doesn't break down like cornstarch would. It would kind of like separate. So you can add this to your blueberry sauce. You can add this to your gravies and use as much as you need to sort of thicken it up to the consistency you want. So this is sort of the consistency. I don't know if you can see the jiggle. It's a little harder, but that's sort of how we get it to this consistency.
So when there is difficulties with chewing and swallowing, we don't really want those seeds that we find in those berries. But berries are really high in antioxidants, and especially blueberries. They have lots of antioxidants, which are anti-inflammatory and really good for overall health. And so that's kind of why we want to show you, like, how do we remove the seeds from this, and how do we incorporate berries when there's that difficulty swallowing? So we want to remove those seeds so they're not getting caught in your throat when you swallow.
Yeah, and you'll find that with most berries, in fact, that you'll get these small little seeds. So what we're using is a fine mesh sieve. You can find these, I've even seen them at grocery stores now, but a lot of like food, kitchen supply stores, they'll have them. Go for the fine one. There's usually one that's a little bit wider. These seeds are so small that they'll pass through. So you do want to get the fine one to trap them all. And then with a bowl underneath, just get a spatula and pass it through. Again, I find this very relaxing. So if I mesmerize you with my blueberry passing skills, I apologize.
So can you also do this with smoothies then? Because a lot of times I find people are having trouble. How do I have my fruits and veggies, and how do I have those when I have difficulty swallowing? So putting them in smoothies is an easy way to kind of do that.
Sauce ready to go. Now we're going to work on the filling. Now this is a no-bake cheesecake, and we're actually going to add an ingredient that you probably wouldn't typically find in most cheesecakes. The first one is cream cheese. This one you find. This one's pretty common. So we're going to add that to our food processor.
And although delicious, does not necessarily have lots of nutritional benefits, right? So like other cheeses that have protein, this is
not as high.
It's not as high.
Yeah. So we're gonna add, I think we have tofu here that we're gonna add as a source of protein to kind of, get that protein up in this recipe.
This is silken tofu. So this is the one that you do want to use. You can use this in smoothies as well. It's commonly added. And it is going to also loosen the texture a little bit and make it a little bit thinner. Yeah.
It's not going to be as sticky, especially when you have that dry mouth. Things can feel a little more sticky. This is going to make it more moist and easier to eat.
All right, so we have those two in there. We're going to sweeten it up a little bit. It's a maple syrup cheesecake, so it'd be weird if we didn't add maple syrup. We're going to add, again, just a taste. Now we're doing, mind you, this is a no bake, so this is going to be a little bit of a softer texture. You can even do this as almost like a parfait style, right?
And it's nice to have a no bake so that it's ready for you right away. If you want to do a snack, it's not taking you as much time to prepare this.
Who wants to wait for their cheesecake?
Nobody.
No. We're going to add, the last thing we're going to add, again, this is optional, but it is going to add a lot of flavor, is lemon zest. So just the lemon zest in there. And we're going to let it spin. Oh man, plug it in. I need those battery operated ones. So get it started. You can do this by hand. It's a lot more work to do it by hand.
What if you didn't want to use the cream cheese? And what if you just wanted, like, how would you?
You can use like a ricotta cheese if you want.
Okay,
yeah, if you want. I mean,
like a vegan version.
yeah. I guess there's a certain point where it's not called cheesecake anymore, but
It's called tofu cake.
Tofu cake or yogurt.
Right.
Yeah, with granola, yeah. But you can add, no, but you can definitely play with that a little bit for sure. All right, so you just want to whip it until it's really nice and smooth and creamy. All right.
I think they do have vegan cream cheese though, so if you did want a vegan version, or if you had difficulty with lactose and dairy, you could try the vegan cream cheese. So this is a really good one, especially later in the day and for dessert, because what happens is we actually make most of our saliva during the afternoon. So then as we get closer to the nighttime, people notice that they're feeling more dry. And this has been because of the radiation damage to the salivary glands. We're not making as much of that saliva. So that might be a place to have extra sauces and softer textures. But as well, when I talked about having some of the oil before your meal to coat, you can also do that before bedtime, because I find a lot of people complain of their dry mouth before bed. So that can also be something that you try.
Beautiful. All right, so sauce is done, the filling is done. The last thing we got to do is the crust. We made this as easy as possible. We're just using ladyfingers. But the great thing about ladyfingers is when they are soaked, they get really nice and soft, right? So we're just going to...
Can you use any type of cookie?
You can use,
Chocolate chip cookie?
Yeah, I guess something that's not too, wouldn't be too crunchy, right? So like an Oreo probably wouldn't be the best thing here. But any soft cookie would work really
Or
well.
even like the graham cracker crumbs. That
Yes.
might be a nice soft texture to add.
And what is that, milk or?
Yeah, this is just a little bit of milk. You can any liquid to soften it up, and it's just going to absorb it and break down a little bit.
So this one will be okay for if you're following a minced diet. If you follow a pureed diet, for example, you could either just have the filling that we're going to make with the sauce, or so you could do that for the pureed diet.
Yeah, so this, it doesn't take long. Within like 30 seconds, they're going to get really, really soft. You can almost push them into place. And then that's it. Then it doesn't have to look pretty because this is the bottom layer. But then we're going to start to layer everything on. So we're going to go with the filling. And again, this I'm making like a bigger version. These are really nice as like individual portions as well. Right. Michelle, do you want to just kind of do your best? Yeah,
okay.
Cake boss.
I promise I haven't tried this yet, so see how it goes.
Awesome. So just spreading it evenly over top.
Great.
See, you hide all of the imperfections underneath, so that's all right.
It's okay to have some imperfections, right?
Absolutely. All right.
Great.
Perfect. And then the blueberry sauce on top. So, I mean, you can go kind of light, or you can go a little heavier on this. And just let that sort of fall around it. And that's it. So this you can refrigerate just so it sort of firms up a little bit. But it is ready to enjoy pretty much right away.
Do you freeze it?
You could
Well,
freeze
I guess
it.
that would be too hard.
The cheese and tofu don't freeze that well. They will start to sort of, the milk fats and salt will start to separate a bit. I mean, after making that, who wants to freeze it? Just enjoy it. Just jump in. But that's it. You can add a little. No, actually, that's it. That's it. It's good.
Cool. Yeah.